So this is just a brief introduction to the user interface for when using CalTester in Visual 3D. So the first thing is you always want to be in the CalTester tab. Once you're in the CalTester tab, if you open a file, it will automatically be loaded as a CalTester trial. So say I load 3 jig template trials. Once the files are loaded, I should be able to see the CalTester rod. So if I view segments, I can see this green CalTester rod. And the white force vector represents the CalTester the force vector used for the CalTester calculations. So one of the things to keep in mind is there's various buttons up here in the toolbar. And if I move my report over a little bit, this is page 1, which corresponds to this toolbar icon. Page 2 will change what you see here to various graphs. And I can zoom out so that I can see more of these. Page 3 is another page with the different marker residuals. So I'm going to go back to page 1. Obviously, these 2 icons are zoom in and out. And then we can also, the next 4 toolbar buttons are specific to CalTester as well. And we have the Modify CalTester Rod Dimensions toolbar button. This is where you define what markers are associated to which target labels in your rod. You can also specify the minimum force value here. And if you have a CalTester rod with different dimensions than the default CalTester rod, you would modify these here. And you can also specify a custom rod or streaming. The next button is the Azure Force Platform Parameters, and this just shows you the Force Platform parameters that are defined in your C3D file. The next button will display force structure parameters, and the last button is the force plate location dialog. So the first tab is to define the force platform corners, and the second is to define the jig if you're using a jig template. The FP-Loc jig tab will only be used if you're using an old jig template file, which we won't be using. So for the most part, you'll only need this FP-Loc and this define jig tab.